Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 16 of Be With Me. Here's the title for today. Are you hardcore? ? Then you should know for certain. All right, so here's the story. Is Peter, the Holy Spirit has come upon at least 12 or maybe more of the Galilean Jews who have been visiting Jerusalem for Passover, and another group of people have witnessed the Holy Spirit come upon them and speak in tongues, and they hear them in a miraculous way into their own languages, and their own languages are from hither and yon, 1,000 miles north, south, east, and west. And here he is in Acts chapter 2, and he's talking to Jews, and he's going to call them brothers. Listen to this. 2:29, brothers, I may say to you with confidence about the patriarch David, that he both died and was buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. So he's saying, David, your beloved number one prophet guy, he is dead and gone and buried. Verse 30, being therefore a prophet, knowing that God had sworn with an oath to him that he would set one of his descendants on his throne. So he's referring to a sweet passage in 2 Samuel 7:12, where it's really a beautiful chapter. If you want to just have all these great feelings about the Lord and David, read that chapter. David is not complaining. He's noting that he's in a nice palace. He's got a nice house, and the Lord's house is in a tent, and he says, I want to build a house for the Lord. And then the Lord speaks to him and says, hey, that's really sweet. Go ahead and build me a temple, but I'm going to build you a house. And he talks about David's legacy, and he says, I'm going to put somebody on your throne forever. Here it is in 2 Samuel 7:12. This is the Lord talking to David. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, in other words, he's referring to the same moment here as Peter. In other words, when you're dead and buried, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. And knowing what we know now is you have to sort of capitalize his kingdom forever, because it's talking about Jesus. So how can David live forever? How can David's kingdom live forever? Well, it's through Jesus. All right. So that's verse 30. So he's going to keep making an argument for Jesus based on the Old Testament. So he's already referred to 2 Samuel chapter 7. He goes on. He foresaw and spoke about the resurrection of the Christ, he's talking about David now, that he was not abandoned to Hades, nor did his flesh see corruption. So he's referring back to a passage we read yesterday, which is in Acts chapter 2, because Peter preaches to them through Psalm 16, and it said somebody here is not going to die, someone is not going to be abandoned to death, somebody is not going to see corruption, and of course that's Jesus. Verse 32, this Jesus God raised up, and of that we are all witnesses. So remember who these guys are. They are guys in Jerusalem who probably participated in the crucifixion of Jesus. Crucify him. They probably witnessed it. And then Jesus was around for 40 days. So they live in Jerusalem, and so they've been seeing Jesus for maybe the time before his crucifixion, so maybe 40 plus days. All right, so now he's talking about Jesus, being therefore exalted at the right hand of God, and having received from the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he has poured out this that you yourselves are seeing and hearing. So Peter is saying, and now, not only do you get Jesus for 40 days and experience Jesus and seeing a resurrection, now you see phase 2 or whatever, that the Holy Spirit is now coming. So then he makes yet another reference to the Old Testament. This is from Psalm 110, where David, I'm going to read this from Acts chapter 2, verse 34. For David did not ascend into the heavens, but he himself says, Then he's quoting now from Psalm 110. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. So David is referring to the Father, that is the Lord that's mentioned first. The Lord said to my Lord, and he capitalizes this Lord. Now he's referring to Jesus, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. So 3 passages from the Old Testament, Psalm 16, Psalm 110, 2 Samuel chapter 7, all these things, all you good Jews, you should know this. I'm making an argument to Jesus. You saw the resurrection. You saw the crucifixion. You specifically killed him. All right, verse 33, back to Jesus. Verse 36, let all the house of Israel therefore know for certain that God has made him both Lord and Christ, this Jesus whom you crucified. So the conclusion is, let all Israel know. Now you guys are the Israel of Israel. You're devout Jews who live in Jerusalem, and even more, the ones who have converted to Jerusalem, moved 1,000 miles, live in Jerusalem. You should know for certain, based on all this Jewish stuff, all this Jewish history, Psalms and the people that you respect from the Old Testament, they all pointing to Jesus. The Old Testament is Christocentric, if you will, and Peter is describing it from Joel, Psalm 16, and Psalm 110, and the history of David. So this guy you killed, he's part of the Trinity. He's God. He sits at God's right hand. He has authority. And, oh, by the way, is currently pouring out the third member of the Godhead, and you have been witness to that. You literally saw it a few minutes ago in tongues of fire. You heard it first, then you saw tongues of fire, then you heard people speak in your own language, the wonders of God. And here's the final thing. He leaves us like drop the mic moment, and that's how we're going to stop today, is he says to them, essentially, what are you going to do about it? Are you a devout Jew? Are you a hardcore? You know the Old Testament? Are you one of the religious goody-goodies? Then stop mocking. Consider this. This is all about Jesus. If you've uprooted your family and moved 1,000 miles away to come to Jerusalem and live there because you're a devout Jew, then I got news for you. Things are going to change. Jesus is here. God has made him exalted at the right hand of the Father, and now he sends his Holy Spirit. So what are you going to do about it? See you tomorrow.